welcome back to another episode of Fiction Fellowship. I just finished this book, Looking for Leroy by Melody Carlson. I just read it in 2 days. That's like a record for me. I usually don't have time to read books that fast, but I really enjoyed this book. So, to sum it up, the story is a really clean Christian romance. And Brianna is a teacher in Oregon, and she is divorced. And she's been like really depressed lately. Everything's been just going the wrong way. And then she sees her ex-husband with his new wife in a store, and the new wife is pregnant. And this just makes Brianna just have a horrible day. She heads home crying and everything because she wanted to have a baby with this guy, but it didn't work out. And so she's really upset. So her and her vice president of the school, her name is Jan. Jan asks her if she wants to go camping with her in her new little camper, in her new little truck. And Brianna's like, oh, I don't really know. I don't know if that's a really fun idea. I don't know. And Jan's like, oh, just come on. We're going to have a blast. And so they go out camping in their truck and camper. And then they go to this little campground. And Brianna's like, gosh, this place really looks familiar. And Jan is like, why? Have you been here before? And she's like, I don't know. And so she was looking around, and this place was actually a camp that she had been to when she was in high school, where she met her first love, Leroy. And so they had a little summer romance in the camp. And so Brianna's really remembering everything, and she's like, oh, I wonder what happened to Leroy. And she remembered that Leroy, his family had a vineyard in Sonoma. And Jan was like, well, she said, I want to look at some vineyards, while we're camping and everything and on the road trip. And she says, like, why don't we see if we can find Leroy? And Brianna's like, but I don't even know his last name. And she's like, we'll figure it out. So they go to all these vineyards and everything looking for Leroy, and they find him. And Brianna is like walking around this vineyard and everything, and this woman comes up to her, and she's like, are you here for the interview? And Brianna's like, and then the girl is like, oh, no, come on. She says, you can come into the office and we'll interview you for the office manager position. And so Brianna was like dumbfounded. She's like, I don't know what's going on. But she went along with it and just played along and acted like she was there for the interview. But she was still looking around for Leroy. And so the lady, which was Leroy's daughter, she interviews her, and she thinks that she's there for the job. And Brianna just plays along. She doesn't say like, that isn't me. I'm just here, to look around the vineyard. And so Brianna actually gets the job, and which is funny because she totally was not there to get the job. And then the girl's like, well, why didn't you just stay in the cottage? She says, you don't have a place to live. You can just stay in the cottage and work here and everything. And Brianna's like, okay, she just totally plays along with it. I would have been like, okay, we need to put a stop to this. I'm not here for the position, so let's just end this right now. I would have been able to go along with it like Brianna was doing. But so she plays along and everything. She's at the cottage, and it's like 3 or 4 days, and she hasn't run into Leroy. And she's kind of trying to like avoid him because she knows it's going to be awkward when he sees her after like 30 years, and probably is like, okay, what are you doing here? Why are you the new office manager and everything? So Brianna finally runs into him, and then things start getting very weird and very crazy. And so I really enjoyed this book. I think I've read maybe one by Melody Carlson before, but this was a nice read, a very quick read, and I'm anxious to move on, or excited to move on to my next book. So if you want to check it out, I suggest it, and we will see you next time.